Hi everyone, I'm Tulsi Dasi Suryakumar. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this art presentation video. So today we'll be talking about three main topics. What is visual arts education? What is the history of art education? And what is visual culture education or visual culture studies? So here is a presentation that I would present to my learners, not necessarily my entire assignment theory, but I will touch on a few things, but this is more activity-based, more interactive, and I hope I can do just online. So here's a little saying that I've heard and I really do like it. I'm not 100% sure who has said it, but I think it's very wonderful. The earth without art is just eh. So yeah, we are all individuals and we like to express ourselves, whether that be through drama, through music, through dance, or through art, painting or sculpture. So what is visual arts education? So it's all about self-expression. It's about how you engage with the world around you. It's also very difficult to define, it can't just be concealed to one general definition. There is multiple definitions from different people. So the Oxford definition, which, would probably be there when you first search it, is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for the beauty or emotional power. So yeah, it's a little bit thought-provoking. You can see that it doesn't cover the basis of what visual art really is. So here's another definition. The purpose of art is to lay bare the questions that have been concealed by the answer. So maybe that's about telling the truth. Is art about bringing about, reality, or bringing about questions that we can actually get some answers to? And Aristotle, this is a nice definition. Art completes what nature cannot bring to a finish. The artist gives us knowledge of nature's unrealized ends. So basically, we are given something in the world and we can elaborate on that from our personal experience and just try to shape reality through what nature has given us. So I think that's something, to think about. And yeah, art is very broad. So overall, what visual art education is, it's to help us develop skills and techniques and ways to express our minds, our souls, even, our bodies. So there's many different forms of visual art within the one subject of visual art education. So here's just an activity that you could possibly do. So choose an item from your bag or around you and come up with a story of how it came into existence and its function. So, kids would just scratch into their bag and pick out, okay, maybe their phone, or they'll like a pack of tissues, or, a comb, a water bottle, a chair, or a sharpener. And all of these things had to be designed, had to be visually interpreted, had to have a function, has a story behind it that, we're just so used to everyday things that, like, okay, it's not art, it's an item. It's nobody really put any thought. We don't remember who came up with the first sharpener, but it was probably someone who really needed to write, and the first person who came up with pencils and needed a solution to, instead of using their knife, come up with an easier way to sharpen their pencil. So there's a lot of creativity, a lot of thought, and yeah, a lot of building on to existing items created. So anything we can see and touch, and even not touch, even if it's very abstract, we can relate that to art and creativity, and even problem solving. So what is the history of art education? So I would say it's all of the isms. There's impersonalism, surrealism, formism, realism, cubism, expressionism, romanticism, all of these isms, including other things, amongst the history. So yeah, art is very linear, the way we've taught art history. It's from one movement to another movement, and how that movement used that movement to progress to this movement. So it's quite a boring, sometimes linear approach, when you can actually maybe take it from a very complex and web-based approach to teach art history. I think also to include the you, and to be like, imagine if you were in that time period, and this is what you had, and this is what you did, and this was the problems you had. How would you deal with it? This is what this person did. So yeah, art history is about teaching, development, and how people evolved, and what items came into play, and how items actually, were built on to that original creative idea. So yeah, we talk about the elements of art during the Industrial Revolution. We talk about the design principles, and modern art, contemporary art, digital art. These are all very evident. So the history of art it's very important to know how we gradually came to appreciate art. Art is also seen as a very high class thing, but in some areas like even Africa, it's seen as a very primitive thing. So why is it like that? Why do we need to know the past and the present of art? I think art history education teaches individuals to grow from that experience, and even to adopt styles and techniques, because they had such an influence during that movement or that time period. So many questions can be arise from this, like, what is the future of art? Is it just digital? Is it animation? Is it just film? Or will people still be sitting at home making a painting of a vase of flowers? What is it? So yeah, some questions to ponder about why you think there is an importance for art education. And without art education, can you still be an artist? So yeah, history and art history, they are linked. And from those things, we get evolutions and developments and some new ideas that would never have come about if it weren't for that issue or that experience. So art history is very important to learn and to take into consideration before becoming an artist. Yeah, just here's some interesting pictures of the differences of Western art and Eastern art. Some might be familiar, some might not. It's always nice to make comparison, because people living, in two different parts of the world at the same time would coming up with completely different styles of art. So why is it? Why is it like that? So yeah, here's just a little interactive class activity. I won't necessarily dive deep into this because we do have a time limit, but for now it's comparing Western art and Eastern art is what I would ask the kids to do. Like, what do you see in the difference? That looks very, Western art is very, realistic, and there's more colors, and whereas this Eastern piece of art is more maybe not as realistic, but also very overwhelming, very like life size, and something you can walk around. And so to discuss the differences between Western and Eastern art, and to maybe figure out what style you would prefer, or what you value more, or within this interactive activity that you could do with the teacher learner, or even with one learner being on the Western side saying my artwork is the best, and the one learner on the Eastern side saying my artwork is the best, and why, and how it can be useful even. So what is visual culture studies? So visual culture studies, so I studied visual studies for 3 years, and visual culture, VKK, was what I did for 3 years. So visuals, it's all about visual media. Media is everywhere. Every time somebody asks me, what are you studying? I'm just like, I'm studying visual studies. What is that? Like the study of media, everything you can see, film, adverts, billboards, anything, internet, anything you see on the TV, phones, magazines, newspapers, cinemas, fashion, malls, architecture. So visual culture, we're surrounded by visual culture. We're surrounded by images. We're surrounded by creations. And yeah, visual culture allows us to explore various forms of visual media that surround us every day. Visual culture studies promotes critical skills through analysis, interpretation, and evaluation, both historically and contemporary contexts. Visual culture deals with theoretical issues. So visual culture is something that we should look into because they ultimately influence us, even if we don't feel like they do. You can say, oh, I saw this, but it doesn't affect me. But maybe you could dream about it, even if you haven't even spoke about it. So visuals play a very important role. It could be subconsciously or consciously. You could see, okay, my mom is always in the kitchen, and movies always put my mom in the kitchen, therefore I will be in the kitchen because I'm also a girl, or something like that. So decoding and encoding, which would be the next activity, is all about visual culture studies. So how we as individuals can look at something and see what its actual meaning is and what its subliminal meaning is. Sometimes they say certain colors make you hungry, which is interesting. So all these food places would use those types of colors to evoke that emotion, and it happens unconsciously because we're naturally taught from childhood that, okay, this color is associated with this eating place, and every time I see, that those few colors, it can remind me of food, or it can start like the appetite or something like that. So even our phones, you'll get a news article or a picture of an issue, and it could blow up on social media, and you're like, okay, why is everybody freaking out about an issue that happens, like 1,000 miles from us? But it can ultimately affect us. For example, the Russian and Ukraine issue, it's affecting our petrol prices and how we could even, travel from transport, place to place. So visual culture studies is all about observing something and looking at its hidden meaning so that we could have these critical thinking techniques and skills that can be applied and that can be analyzed, and that we can notice how they influence us or inspire us or even demotivate us. So many topics have come from this, such as like masculinity, femininity, gender, just a variety. There's just so many right now, Africanism or so on. So yeah, visual culture studies is very important because it's everywhere. It's literally from our food, as you can see, to our choices in perfume. So here's just 2 advertisements that I'd like to discuss. It's called Encoding and Decoding. So who is the target audience and how will these advertisements attract the viewer? So clearly we can see the first one. So this I would probably have the learners do in pairs, where they discuss, okay, this is for kids, it's Fruit Loops, it's colorful, it's got a parrot on it, and we're encoding the message. And then decoding would be like, what are the actual hidden messages? Like, okay, maybe that guy we see on TV, maybe he's famous, or the boxes of Fruit Loops are usually kept very, very low on the shelf. Like, why is that? Because when the mom and the kids are walking in the store, you can see, the kid can see it more so than the mom, and then the kid wants the product. So yeah, that's just encoding and decoding of these messages. Why colors? Because kids are attracted to colors. Why Fruit Loops? And why they're making them, why is it spelt incorrectly? Fruit, it's not a real fruit, it's not like an apple or a banana, but it's these colorful sugary types of fruits, and they make them like fruits in a sense, or associate that word with that image. And then the second one is an advertisement on perfume. It's called Million. It's a very, it looks like a very, okay, expensive, they're gold, it's targeting men. And if you wear this perfume, you can attract a woman. And there's just so many little messages that are there that would make you want to buy it or not want to buy it. So, the woman is highly, like, she's sexualized, she's naked. Why is that? Is it to attract more men to buy it? And also deodorant, very difficult thing to advertise. You can't just say, oh, here it is, and you can smell my advert. It's not like that. So they have to use different messages to attract the buyer of this product. So yeah, encoding and decoding of advertisements you can take into consideration, just so that you don't fall into the play of, you know, marketing and consumerism. It's not about always protecting you. You know, sometimes they genuinely are good products or something like that, but seeing what they're portraying and if you want to be associated with that. So overall, yeah, these topics of art education and art history and visual studies, visual culture studies, very important topics that we should dive into, and art, you as an artist can even portray within your work to promote change or to highlight an issue. So art overall can possibly solve issues, but overall it's more about awareness and expression. You know, if you can't say it in words, say it in a picture. A picture is worth 1,000 words. We always hear that. So yeah, this was my presentation on visual art, visual arts, and the history of art. So yeah, just to take home. So this, you can, like, the kids can write on a piece of paper. It's a little reflection session, what they personally think. It doesn't have to be right. There's no one right answer. And that's also what I want to explain, is that art has no boundaries. And as a teacher, what would you like to do to help those learners think in this creative way? So some of the questions is art in your everyday life? How is visual art useful? Do you think it is important to learn art history, and why? Is art as propaganda? Can you use it as propaganda? Are you affected by visual culture? What is your go-to form of entertainment? Can art change the future? Is virtual reality a useful tool for education? How can we apply it? So there is this, I'll end with this. There is a really nice Netflix documentary series, or maybe it's not, but it's a show for children, and it's called Making Fun. So it's all about like the creative process and how we don't stop children from having ideas. I thought that was the target audience. So there's this guy, he says, okay, I can make anything and everything. You just have to give me the idea. So if it's a good idea, if it's actually a proper functional idea, then they make it. So they ask kids, the kids have tried to explain the idea. And this is nice because they don't believe that there's any limits in the world. You know, they're still very new, they're still very young. So their ideas and creativity is actually on another level. So to bring about that would actually, you know, they make the product, and it's something that does not exist anywhere else in the world but there, because of that one idea that these children came up with. So yeah, if you guys have the chance, it's on Netflix. It's called Making Fun. It's very entertaining, it's very funny, and it's also very, very creative, and it makes you think about the power of art and the beauty of it overall. Yeah. So thank you so much for taking your time out to listen to my presentation. I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a great day. Thank you.